Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lifestyle with Dr. Moby. And today we are honored with great guest Devan with us from South Carolina. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
coming.
having me on.
Yeah, so thank you for coming to our show. So we're gonna talk today about effect of COVID on businesses, and he has done a lot of podcasting on that or interviews. And let's catch up with Devin. How are you, sir?
I'm doing really good. I'm doing really good.
So tell me about your COVID-19 experience so far.
COVID-19, I've noticed throughout the small business world, especially, and kind of into the mid range business
Mhm,
side, it's crushed a lot of people. A lot of good, mom and pop shops, if you will, have had to shut down. And, I've talked to a couple of these people, I've noticed through them. I've talked to some of the more, further along in business people that, their businesses are crushing as well due to COVID. And it's not just due to lack of business or I mean that's a factor, but it's also due to the mindset that they've had
mhm,
throughout this.
mhm,
I've seen a lot of these, really they're genuinely good people,
mhm,
but they've lost the passion for what they do. If you make pancakes,
mhm,
you loved pancakes and that's what you started your business on, and then COVID happened and now you're got nobody to make pancakes for. When people start coming back, you don't have that same drive as you did before. And even when the quarantine was lifted, sales were dropping, people were having to shut their doors.
mhm,
And it was just, especially down in the smaller areas like where I'm at,
mhm,
in a little upstate town in South Carolina, we've seen a couple of businesses have to close their doors, and it's sad.
mhm,
The big thing that I've noticed when, talking to these people, getting through, what's crushed you? Because I began a business in COVID. I grew my business through COVID to the point where it's at now. We're doing very well. I sat down with a lot of these people and I said, what's got you to this point? 5 months ago you had a thriving business. You were doing fantastic. We could see in your life that you were happy.
mhm,
And they'll tell me, I lost the motivation or I didn't have the drive or I couldn't expand through COVID. I didn't want to take those risks. And the big thing, especially with what we're going through right now, is you cannot be afraid to take a risk. Businesses cannot.
mhm,
Every business goes through what is called a valley of despair.
mhm,
It's a term typically used. You start in this high motivation spot. This is what I do. This is where I'm going. I'm super excited. You get a little bit further along in the process. You're like, okay, I'm making a couple of sales. Then you get on to, man, this is hard.
mhm. Yeah.
They're I can't push through this, and they're like, well, this is too hard. I really enjoy this though, and they go back to that beginning. They get back there, man, this is hard too.
Mhm,
And COVID has just amplified that spot.
mhm,
I think the statistics 85% of businesses will not pass that valley of despair,
mhm,
and COVID has ramped that number way up.
mhm,
We've seen a boom in small businesses, especially in the low towns like where I'm at, or even in some of the major cities. Online businesses become huge as well, but that valley of despair is still there.
mhm,
So they get up in this endless loop of, you know, I'm excited to this is hard, right back to I'm excited to this is hard. But once they push past that, which I've helped a couple of my friends do,
mhm,
and a couple of people I know, they push past that. It's that I'm super excited about this kicks right back up
mhm.
because they're in that comfortable spot. I'm able to pull myself a little paycheck. I'm able to send my stuff everywhere, and it just builds on that.
Mhm, mhm. So, do you think with the COVID, those changes, are gonna get better and better because gradually the vaccine is coming on board, and then people are gonna gain some confidence, and then improve some of the finances.
Yeah, I think as we see the vaccine come through, and there's that sense of safety,
Hmm.
that sense of security as well. Because like back in the 20s when polio, the same thing happened. Polio came, businesses started to struggle. Then the polio vaccine hit, businesses were ramping back up.
Hmm.
I think we'll see the same effect with COVID,
Hmm.
but COVID has definitely pulled a lot more than polio. So I think it'd be a little more prolonged than uh, than polio or stuff like that was, because polio was a centralized pandemic. It was mainly throughout the United States, and COVID has become a global one. So there's a lot of international legalities that we had to look at, especially with like I had to because I do food products
Hmm.
and people like in that type of field.
Hmm. And so, since you are related to food and so for industry, probably for my sake, it's considered first liner or first responders. Because without food, imagine what will be the effect on pandemic. That will be devastating. Right? People looking for food, groceries, looking for um, that's the one comfort thing they have, right?
Yeah, that's been a huge thing that I've seen. A lot of our orders and a lot of our people that have come to us have been first responders. You know,
Mhm.
we were finally able to kick up what we call vendor markets around here. They have different names all over the country. We were able to kick those up, and a lot of people are like, I've been working these 18-hour shifts, to be able to come to these type of things. We're socially distant, putting our mask on, wearing the gloves and everything. But that effect was, they've been seeing nothing but this disease running rampant,
Mm.
and for them to see face to face, being able to get a little bottle of hot sauce or going down and getting a pair of socks that somebody knitted. I mean, I
So
think
yeah,
this.
so the food is one comfort they all had and they enjoyed. And the good thing is, difference is, this is not foodborne illness. So, imagine if it was foodborne illness. Let's say it was lettuce or some kind of pickle or something, and then I mean lettuce, for example, lettuce would be huge, so or any other commodity which we use all the time, then that business will be totally wiped out, right?
Oh yeah.
so
If
or even foodborne, let's say if it was foodborne gastroenteritis, yes, that would be. Look at few chains which it hit. I remember one of the Mexican chain. The salad bone or the foodborne illness hit them. Virus, but it devastated the whole stock. They could never grow back to that value. Um, so this, I mean, or if it was airborne disease, if it was airborne, it could have been worse. You know, yes, it did affect it, and we can wash hand, we can safe distance, and we can wear mask, but we can still go out as limited. Imagine if it was airborne and totally, we would be totally washed out, right?
Oh yeah, it wouldn't take too long for it to get even into the house,
Yeah, even.
because airborne illnesses take much longer time to dissipate, and that would cause a whole lot of stress.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
you
and
can.
definitely, it kind of course, it's bad. I won't say it's good, but like you said, that would have taken whole lot of other issues involved. You can't go to house, you can't stay in anywhere. So tell me, how is your neighborhood dealing with rain?
So our area, we live very separated. There's a good distance between us and neighbors. Even that big distance, we used to see them outside playing. We'd see them out and about running and jogging, and now we just don't see it. It just doesn't happen.
mm,
People are not getting out of the house to exercise. They're not, going out and playing in the yard with the neighborhood kids. I mean, it's completely flipped the dynamic.
mm. So how is gonna be with Christmas? I know with Thanksgiving we have seen uptake in COVID cases. Because people didn't listen and still showed up on everybody, traveled and still. So I hope things are better with Christmas.
I'm hoping so too. It's going to be rough because a lot of families can't get together for Christmas because they
Mm,
do have the orders with no more than two families in a household at a time, just to kind of slow the spread. Not everybody's going to have two families or less with the household at Thanksgiving. Because if grandma and grandpa got four kids, that's five sets of families right there that we have to worry about. So I think the dynamic is going to be way different at Thanksgiving,
mm,
if unless by some miraculous cause it gets way better in the next 11 to 12 days.
mm. And I think with vaccine being approved probably this week, the healthcare provider first responders probably will get it before Christmas. Um, I wish they push a little bit. Maybe, at least those cases will be better. But general public, still the vaccine, even if it's out, it takes time for herd immunity to develop. I have a feeling there will be some false sense of hope or security, and then people will probably let it loose, and then guess it will again go up again, despite being on vaccine, right?
Yeah, I feel the big thing is we are going to have to develop that herd immunity,
Yeah,
vaccine regardless. I mean,
yeah,
that's the only tried and true method throughout history.
yeah,
But I mean, it is going to be amplified and helped with that vaccine, which will go back. I think we'll be back in the normal way of life within the next year.
yeah. Next year or more, because it'll take time, like you said, herd immunity, because it's not gonna happen magically right away. But at least when there's a hope, when people see hope at the end of light at the end of the tunnel, they feel better. I mean, even if they say that it's going to end, in probably a year or so, they see end. Right now, we were not seeing an end, and that was devastating for businesses.
I think that's
Market.
really what caused that downward spiral in a lot of businesses was not seeing a definite end to this. And I think when we see the end, all that hope, and I think we'll see a huge resurgence of small businesses
Mhm,
right before the end of this. I
mhm,
think that'll be LLCs and business licenses as retail licenses just purchased in the tens of thousands.
mhm.
I think we'll go back to we'll be one of the more prosperous times especially in my lifetime that I think I'll ever see.
Yeah. And so, the how do you with your business now? You do had to cut down some of the store hours, or you do mostly mail in, or how do you survive?
So we're online totally. We were going and doing a lot of markets and a lot of small artisan shop, but that with COVID that had to get cut drastically. And so that I mean that dropped our income by a good 50 to 75%.
Mm.
And now we're doing the online side because we're having to utilize there's nothing more socially distant than me being on one side of a computer screen to someone else.
Yeah,
So
and
we
that
had to amp up the online order side of everything
mhm.
just to try to make it through this.
And that is a good thing. Is actually makes you probably you can spend more time with your honey bunny at home, right?
Oh, she's loving that.
Yeah. So probably, but you have to do the honey to do list.
Yeah, I get the chore list every morning.
Yeah, so those are the bad part about staying home. But I think still, still it's better. A lot of people they feel much better, relaxed because they don't have to drive an hour or so to work or back and forth.
Yeah,
So,
I mean it's had its positives. I mean, a lot of families have been able to come together throughout this.
so probably there's a good about it. There was less pollution, less fuel use, less mileage on your car, less service for sure. So I used to drive 300 miles a week, and now I don't. So there is a positive. So definitely, it changed towards better for
Oh yeah.
that. Mhm.
Only
So
thing is you get that big old to do list every morning now.
yeah, no. So do you think how business can what should we follow between now and with the vaccine? What things we can do for business owners to uh, kind of navigate through this?
So a big thing that business owners need to do is they need to step back
Mhm.
and self-evaluate before they do anything. Before they sign the first document, or before they sell their next product. They need to reel back and look and say, okay, this is where I'm at. Because they're not going to have the same marginal value as they did at the beginning of this.
Mhm.
Nobody does. We don't. Walmart doesn't. Target doesn't. I mean, the big boxes don't, so the small businesses aren't. They need to step back and evaluate where they're at and not be afraid to perfect a product
Mhm.
in this time frame.
Mhm.
Because if your product can survive through this,
Mhm.
it's going to survive past it. You know, the branding for it will come. This is a good opportunity to look at self branding as well.
Mhm.
Maybe freshen up, get into, a new social media platform. I've noticed a lot of businesses aren't on, Twitter, they're not on Instagram. Maybe utilize the TikTok platform is one that we do. We generate a lot of sales from it. So stepping back and looking at, okay, what can I do to further this
Mhm.
during this?
Mhm.
So if I can survive these next couple of months, this next year, I'm golden. I'll be doing great. But if I'm trying to push too hard,
Mhm.
the demand's not there for everything right now. Before this, go gung ho, keep pushing, get it going good.
Mhm.
Now you've got to really, the risks are much higher.
Mhm.
So
Yes. So you're saying they should step back and kind of set up more realistic goals,
yeah,
not the 1 year before. They should kind of evaluate where they are and have some kind of realistic. If they beat that, that's great. But if not, don't be sad about that.
yeah, just evaluate where you're at and set up the small goals.
Mhm.
It's a whole lot easier to reach 1,000 small goals than one large goal.
Yeah.
And those 1,000 small ones will lead you directly to that one large one.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I think whenever there's a pandemic or situation like this or any situation, even when there's a storm, if the trees bend and let the wind or storm pass through, they survive. So we have to do same, is bend our ways and survive this storm. This will pass. This is going to pass, and then we are going to have fresh beginning again, and it will be fine. But if we are very rigid and we are kind of not accommodating, then guess what will happen? It'll break, it'll uproot us, like happens when there's a thunderstorm or storm, right?
Oh, yeah. You've got to be able to be flexible throughout this. You can't just look at the year evaluation before and go, I'm going to do the exact same thing I did this year. It just won't work.
Yeah. And then it's sad. Of course, I'm physician too, and our practice was not COVID. We had elective procedures, and so it affected a lot. Too, but that's what it is. What can you do? Nothing. Just try to survive and pass through this storm, and then hopefully we'll definitely have better days coming. forward.
Yeah.
Right.
A big thing they need to realize is their drop in sales isn't their fault. They're not doing their product wrong. They're not branding the wrong way. I mean, not some might be going the wrong direction, and this could be a way to kick them back on the right track.
Mm.
But their drop in sales is not their fault. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of people have lost jobs, so they're having to preserve money. So unless you are a necessity, you're not on the top shelf right now.
Mm. And not everybody will be selling sanitizers or towels. Right.
Correct. My
Yeah.
company's not going to do hand sanitizer. It's I make hot sauce. I don't make hand sanitizer.
Yeah. So, that's true. We're not gonna do that. And so, but all best we can do is kind of not push the envelope and make other people, unsafe with our decision, whether it's employees or customers. We're gonna go slowly, but I'm sure people will find way and kind of keep working on it. So tell me what makes you relax? How do you keep yourself healthy?
So I drink water religiously, keep myself hydrated. That keeps my mind, in my personal opinion, that keeps my mind clear. And I do take time every day to just sit and breathe, lay flat, breathe. You know, I took Muay Thai, so I align myself spiritually. Try to keep everything in check.
Hmm.
I pray, and I do try to exercise as much as I can. I do have this whole online business thing going on, so I'm not able to do that as much. But I do take my small time to just reflect on inward self,
Hmm.
just let the world stop, and that helps me kind of stay level headed. I mean, I am not the healthiest person. I've had double knee replacement. I mean, I've broken 70 bones in my body, but if I can reflect inwards, none of that matters.
Hmm.
I'm able to just sit there and breathe. And I think a lot of people need to do that. Just meditate, breathe, get you a book, do something. Just pull yourself out of the world for 20 minutes.
Hmm.
Everybody's got 20 minutes throughout their day they can spare.
Yeah, and that is the true message is take baby step, be flexible, and we'll pass through this together. Right.
That's, yes, that's the huge thing. Baby steps, be flexible. You
And
know,
take care of your family. Basically, be with your family and friends close by, and you will be all fine. Just take care of them, ask them if they need any help, or whatever we can kind of help each other safely, then it's gonna be fine, or at least give them a call. So a lot of is emotional depression, sadness, lack of seeing any progress. So a lot of those things really matter. So any final thoughts you have for my audience?
take a moment
Mm.
and just realize that this is going to pass. Don't get so stressed. Take a moment to call your grandma or call your dad, call your mom. Sit back. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah,
Relax. It's gonna be okay.
we are gonna be okay. So thank you for coming to our show. Give us a great feedback about the businesses and COVID and
Well, I
how to
appreciate
survive.
it.
Thank you, sir, for coming. So, ladies and gentlemen, check his website. Is great sauce, and we can really enjoy that this difficult time. So, check out his business. So, you can tell us about your business website so people can check you out.
So you can find us at www.fatfarmersauce.com. We ship to all states in the United States, or you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok at Fat Farmer Sauce.
Mhm.
And yeah, just
Yeah.
check us out.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for coming to our show. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.